All right, we're going to try a little outdoor yoga today. First try. Join me on your mat in hero pose or just sitting on your heels. A lot of times people like to use a block here, whatever feels comfortable. And we're going to start working through the shoulders, lifting the shoulders up, back, and around. Now's about the time in Livermore where we start our Yoga in the Vineyard series. And since we can't meet in groups, I'll bring my little vineyard to you. So welcome. And then drop the right hand over to the right, soft bend in the right elbow. Lift your left arm over your head. Yeah, and we're going to work our shoulders by just opening up and circling around the left arm in both directions, just to loosen up the joints. Good. And then let's do the other side. Over to the left, reach with the right, and play with your range of motion. You know, in theory, the shoulders have a 120-degree range of motion, which is the most of any of our joints. But, you know, time and injury and life experience changes that. And so the range sometimes shortens. So play within your boundaries, which is pretty much the definition of yoga. That's great. And then if you can reach your hands behind your back or grab your elbows, either way works. And then drive the shoulders down away from the ears. And if you're clasping your hands, see if you can lift the hands off the sacrum to give the shoulders one last little stretch before we move on. Yeah, so if you don't live in Livermore, California, it's about 85 and the bumblebees are floating all around the area and the lemon trees are blooming and the honeysuckle is opening and it's summertime. Release that and come on to hands and knees. For some spinal articulations in cat and cow. Good, and then curl the toes underneath you. Lift your knees off the floor and then take the left leg and extend it over to the right and watch. You'll send the weight back towards the back of your mat and stretch out the outside of your left thigh. Drop your head. And then lift your left leg up in the air. Bend the left knee and allow the hip to open like a door. You can bend and straighten your left leg here. You got it. And then we'll do the other side. So come back down to hands and knees and it'll be the right leg that extends across and then the weight shifts back to the back of your mat. And the more you can flex your right foot, the more you feel that deep stretch from the right ankle all the way up to the outside of the right hip. And then reach the right leg in the air, bending the right knee. This time the right hip stacks on top of the left. You open and close the leg. Give the head a shake. That's great. And now we'll come down to forearms. So place the forearms on the floor so they're parallel, the top of your mat, especially if you're tall. And then walk the feet back so you're on the balls of the feet. This is a strong pose. But today what we're going to do, and I'll try it with the right leg first so you can see, we're just going to drop the outside of the right thigh towards the mat. We're not putting a ton of weight there, just enough where we can activate the right side body, waking up our obliques. And then back to neutral. And you'll do the same thing on the left. Trying to keep the head lifted because the neck is part of the spine. So we want to keep the cervical spine lined up in that same neutral spine position with the rest of our spine. One more breath here, and then drop the knees, drop the pelvis, and we're in a Sphinx pose. Press into the forearms. From Sphinx, we'll slide our hands back down towards the ribs and flow through some cobras. So press into the hands and lift. And then exhale, drop it down. Inhale, press. Exhale, lower it down. Last time, just lift the chest off the floor. Take the hands and have the palms face down. Lift the upper body off the floor as best you can. Right. And then drop the head slightly and bring the right ear to the right shoulder. And walk the left fingertips towards the left foot. And then come through the center and drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Walk the right fingertips towards the right foot, stretching out the neck. Let's do that again just in case we missed it. Come through the center, right ear to right shoulder, and then left ear to left shoulder. Find a neutral. Back to cobra hands, press into a cobra, and then push to a plank, to a downward facing dog. Nice work, everybody. And we'll hold this downward facing dog, kind of circling out the shoulders, pedaling out the feet. Nice time to do a body scan, an emotional scan, an energy level scan. Maybe a time to set the intention. What do you want to do today? What do you want to dedicate your practice to today? Mine is gratitude for this amazing place where I can practice in my backyard, and the opportunity to share my passion for this practice with you guys. So look between your hands and we'll walk to the top of our mat. Separate your feet here and forward fold with bent knees. And grab on to alternate elbows. And then sway from side to side. Bending the right knee as you sway to the right. And then bending the left knee as you sway to the left. Just letting gravity do its job and create space between each one of the vertebrae. Back and forth. Back and forth. And then place the hands on your thighs and use them to help prop up the spine in a half lift. And then forward fold again. And then rise to standing on an inhale. Bring the arms overhead. And then exhale, forward fold. Tabletop your back again. Use your hands if you need to. And then this time, plant your hands and step back to a plank, lowering down to chaturanga. Upward facing dog, and then we'll hold downward facing dog for 5 breaths. Yeah, that's our first flow. Surya Namaskara A. Yeah. And while you're here, if you find that your mind is racing and you can't seem to zero in on your task at hand, how about thinking about something that you absolutely love in your life? And it could be your child or your partner or something simple, like for me, the way the sun feels on my skin. And if you pay attention to that benevolent feeling, then some of the other not so positive feelings and thoughts will take a back seat. So bend your knees. We'll do do a couple more of these. Look between the hands and walk to the top of your mat and forward fold. Tabletop your back on an inhale. Forward fold on your exhale. Come all the way up. It's an inhale. Reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And then we'll plant our hands and step back and lower down to a safe chaturanga. Or a half of a push-up. It's the same thing. Upward facing dog with the shoulders trying to stay away from the ears. Downward facing dog. And while we're here, we'll do a one-armed down dog just so we can give ourselves a nice little twist and a stretch. Reach back with the left hand and grab the right ankle. Nice. And then let's switch to the other side. And if your mind is still racing, how about thinking about something about you that's a strength? Maybe it's your sense of humor. Maybe it's your intelligence. Maybe you're a fantastic artist. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for the things we do well. We sure do a good job of pointing out and criticizing ourselves for the things that we don't do well. Let's once and for all change that recording. Of course, it's important to strive to be your best self, but the criticism can be left behind. It doesn't serve us. One more round of these. Bend the knees, look between the hands, walk to the top of your mat and forward fold. Tabletop your back on an inhale, forward fold on our exhale. Let's come up to standing one more round. Exhaling, forward fold. And we flow through what we'll call vinyasa. These 4 movements, lowering down to that half push-up, lifting up to an upward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. Woo! Second series is kind of like the first, except we're going to add a squat and some lunges. It's called Surya Namaskara B. So let's bend the knees, look between the hands, and then walk to the top of your mat and forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then we'll come up to standing. And then separate your feet hip distance or even a little wider today, and then bend your knees. And then with your hands on your knees, puff up your upper back. And then when you exhale, find your neutral spine. Let's do that again. In fact, except I want you to inhale here. So inhale, and then exhale when you round your back. It's a cat and a cow, but in a chair position. Inhale. And then exhale. One more round. Inhale. And then exhale. Good. Now find your neutral spine and bring the arms out to the side like wings. And I want you to rotate your shoulders by pointing your thumbs down and then turning your palms to the sky. Good. And then take one last inhale here, and then just place your hands on the floor and exhale, forward fold. Tabletop your back, and then vinyasa. So put your hands on the ground, step it back, and lower down halfway. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Lifting your right leg in the air. Bring your right knee to your nose. Yeah, it's that same rounding of the spine. We call it flexion. And then bring your right leg to the sky one more time as you inhale. And this time, step your right foot between your hands, Put your left heel on the floor and turn your left toes out at a 45. Now watch. You're going to bend your left knee towards lining the toes up, lining the knee up with the toes as you straighten your right leg. And we'll do it again. So bend your right knee so the knee is right over the right ankle, and you're in that straight back left leg with the left toes pointed out at a 45. And now straighten it. 2 more times. Exhale as you straighten it. Good. Now hold this right knee bending. The left foot's on the floor. And then bring the arms over your head. You're in a warrior 1 now. So bending the right knee to a 90-degree angle. Press your left hip forward. Relax your shoulders. Good. Now the more you can engage your left glute muscles, the safer it is for your low back. Take one inhale here and then put your hands on the ground and then step back, lower down halfway. Upward facing, downward facing dog. Let's do the left side. So lift your left leg in the air, take an inhale, and then bring your knee to your nose. Exhale. Again, we'll lift, extend, and inhale. And then this time we step the left foot between your hands. The right toes turn out at a 45. Now, from that 45-degree angle, we bend the right knee so we can straighten the left leg and get that really great hamstring stretch. Let's do that a couple more times. Bending the left knee and then straightening the left leg. Woo! Inhale. And then exhale. This time bend the left knee and keep it bent. Lifting the fingers off of your mat. Bring the arms overhead. Warrior 1. This time it'll be the right hip that bumps forward. One more breath. Sit low. And then Vinyasa, planting the hands. Step back and lower down. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe. Woo! So we'll do that 2 more times. Just to get the thighs nice and warm. A little kiss for the shoulders. A little extension for the spine. Some length and strength in the hamstrings and the glute muscles. You ready? Let's do it. Bend your knees, look between your hands, walk to the top of your mat and forward fold. Tabletop. Length, forward fold. Come up to standing. It's like a reset, and then we begin with our feet at least hip distance. Place the hands on the thighs. Inhale, nice neutral spine. And then exhale, a flexed spine. Extend your spine on an inhale, like someone's pulling you. And then as if someone's pulling you by your mid-back. Round. Inhale. Exhale. Now hold your inhale here. Arms out to the side like wings. Again, let's work the shoulders, making little circles or moving the hands open and closed. Weight in the heels. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Let's move on. Half lift. Place the hands down, stepping it back. Lower down. Upward facing dog, open your chest. Downward facing dog, lift your sits bones. Right leg lifts on an inhale. One single knee to nose, exhale. Lift up, inhale. Yes, and then a warrior 1 stance, but immediately straightening the right leg. Bending the right knee up to 90. Lifting the right toes, flexing the right foot, straightening out through the hamstring. You've got it. And then we'll land in our nice deep lunge of a warrior one stance, peeling the chest off our thigh. Come on up. Inhale here through a vinyasa. Upward facing dog. Press it back. Lift the left leg, knee to nose, exhale. Woo! Moving the entire body safely. Stretch out the hamstring of the left leg, rebend the left knee. Exhaling as you straighten the left leg, inhaling as you bend the left knee. Last time, working that left hamstring, and then hold the left knee bending. Lift the chest off the ground. Off the thigh, sorry. Inhale, vinyasa. Oh, you made it. One more of these, one more of these. Getting warm. For me, getting sweaty. Yeah, feeling good. Getting our vitamin D on if you're doing this outside. Drop the head, drop the thoughts. And just breathe with me. Bend your knees, tailbone lifts. Walk to the top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, exhale, dip down. Curl up, rise up, lift up. And then another chair or squat. Inhale, neutral, exhale, round. Inhale, neutral, exhale, round. Undulating the spine. And then hold your neutral spine. Last chance on these shoulders. The weight of the world is on these guys. Let's give them a break and keep them open and loose. One more. Inhale, exhale, forward fold, vinyasa. Suck in that air. It's your life force, your prana, your chi. It's what keeps us going. Lifting the right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lift. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. And then straighten your right leg. And then lunge and bend your right knee. Straighten your right leg. Lunge and bend the right knee. Last time. Hold your lunge. Make sure your left foot is at a 45. Inhale, arms overhead. Last warrior one of the day on the right side. Vinyasa. Let's get into the left side, lifting it up here, inhaling, exhale, knee to nose. Maybe you're getting nice and warm now where straightening out the left leg is just feeling so sweet. Bend and then straighten. Bend. Good. Last time here, bending the left knee, arms overhead. Say goodbye to your warriors and vinyasa. Woo! We made it. So let's move on. Yeah. So we'll do a little standing balance. So bend your knees, look between your hands, and walk to the top of your mat and forward fold. Tabletop your back on an inhale. Exhale, forward fold, and stand on your right leg as you lift your left. Drop your head. And then open up the left hip and bend your left knee. And now straighten your left leg right where it is and try to point the left toes down to the ground. And then let the left foot fall. Good. And do the same thing on the right. Lift the right leg. Open the hip and the knee. Notice how just doing those 3 Surya Namaskaras where we straighten the leg has given us some nice room in the hamstrings. And now try to turn the hip down so the hips are almost square and point the right toes to the ground. Beautiful. And then put the right foot down next to the left. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Come to standing and bring your left leg into a tabletop without curling your left toes underneath you. And I know you won't be able to see my head here. So lift your left knee, whoa, into a tabletop. You could also extend your left leg if that means you don't curl your tailbone under, but I'm just going to keep mine bent. And just get some strength in the top of the left thigh. And now, using balance, I'd like you to step back into a crescent lunge, which means the left heel is lifted. Now, straight left leg unless you have low back problems, and then you can bend your left knee. Now, instead of being upright with the shoulders over the hips, let's hinge forward slightly. So we are a diagonal line from the back of our head to the heel of our hand. Yeah. And then bring the right arm forward, the left arm forward and the right arm behind you. And then switch. Yeah, lots of big arm movements today because I want to showcase our shoulders and keep everything loose and strong. That's great. Good. Now, the next time the left arm is back, take an inhale and then exhale and come all the way around so you're in a star pose with all 10 toes pointing at the corners of your mat. And then sit in a wide turnout. Good. And then bring the arms overhead, take a deep inhale, and then drop the hands, and we'll do that again. So inhale, big circle, exhale, sit nice and low. Inhale, lift, big circle. Exhale, nice and low. Last time here. Exhale, nice and low, and hold. You've got it. Just a great outer hip exercise, inner thigh stretch. Good. Now straighten both legs. Turn the left toes in at a 45. Turn the right toes so they're pointed straight ahead. Put your hands on your hips and drop your right hip as you lift your left. Now, tone through the right thigh so it's strong. You're lifting through the kneecaps. And then without breaking at the left side body, drop your right hand and lift your left arm. So you've got one long arm here. You got it. I know the sweat is just pouring off of me. Feels good. And then come on up and bend your right knee. You might need to scooch your left foot back a little bit. Line the right knee on top of the right ankle. Good. And then I'd like you to bring both arms out in front of you and lay back with the left shoulder. And then clasp your hands behind your back. Grab, if you can see, grab your left wrist with your right hand in an effort to force the left shoulder back. Now, drop the left shoulder so the chest is laying suspended on top of the thigh. And then open it up again. So here are the 4 moves. So we inhale, bring the arms out in front of us like we're holding a beach ball. We exhale and grab the left wrist and pull. We inhale and bring the left shoulder down so it's in square with the right. And then we exhale and twist a little bit more. So let's do that one final time. Inhale, arms forward. Exhale, clasp the wrist. Inhale, lower the left shoulder. Exhale, open it up and lay it back. One more inhale here. Standing splits on the right leg. Lifting the left leg. You got it. Now open the hip like we practiced. And this time, keep your right hand on the floor and see if you can lift your left arm. Now, can you bend your left leg in half and maybe try to grab your left ankle with your left hand? And then the hardest part of the whole class is going to be trying to come to standing. Keeping the left hand on the left ankle. Wobbling is okay. And then we land in a dancer's pose, and maybe we didn't. But we tried. Put everything down and shake it out. Great work, everybody. So let's do the whole thing on the other side. So we will bring the right leg into a tabletop. Woo! How you doing? And you can straighten your right leg if you'd like. It's just balance practice. You know, with a nice neutral spine, which is what's going to carry us through for the rest of our life, you know. So, and it's also great practice to stand on one leg for stability. And then step way back with the right foot. So you're in that crescent lunge again, but this time it's the left leg that is the working leg. We hinge forward. So we've got that diagonal line from the back of our head to our heel. And then the arms extend, right arm forward, left arm back, and then switch. Yeah, just think length and strength. This is called cross crawl, which, believe it or not, is just really good for the brain. Yeah. And then the next time the right arm is back, take an inhale and then bring it around, and you're back into this, it's called a star pose, where the toes are turned out. And then we'll bend the knees, and then the arms will come swooping up and around. Inhale, straighten the legs, and then sit back in that wide turnout or horse pose. Some people call it goddess. What I like is to keep the ankles right underneath the knees. And let's hold this here. If the knees start to cave in, you can use your hands to keep them in line. Great work. And then straighten out your legs and turn the right toes in and turn the left toes so they're pointed straight ahead. Place the hands on the hips, because I want you to use your hands to help press the left hip down and lift the right hip up. Engage through the right thigh. Knit the right rib and the right hip together. And then open it up. Nice work. Triangle pose, Trikonasana, triangle. And then from triangle, we'll move to side angle, which for most of us, we need to lengthen the stance a little bit. But this angle is the same. One long line from the right ear all the way down to the outside of the right foot. And then arms reach like you're holding this ball. And then arms will clasp behind you. Yeah. Grab the right wrist here with the left hand if possible and lay back against this imaginary wall of grapevines. And then close it down, inhale. And then exhale, open it out. Inhale, bring the arms forward. Exhale, clasp and reach. Inhale, close it down. Exhale, open it up. Again, inhale, reach. Exhale, close it down. Open it up. You've got it. One more time, just for good measure. Arms out. Clasp your right hand. Close the right shoulder down. Open it up. And then place the hands on the ground and lift your right leg in the air. You made it. You made it. Standing splits. Drop the head and breathe. Now, if you wanted to move on to Ardha Chandrasana with me, it's a hard one. But you're going to keep your left hand on the ground as you stack your right hip on top of your left, and then lift your right arm in the air. Now, Ardha Chopasana is where we grab, I'm scooching back, is where we grab the right foot. And grabbing the insole of the right foot makes this much easier. Now put a little bend in your left knee, and with laser focus, begin to take some of the weight out of the left hand as you kick hard into your right hand. And I luckily have a little post next to me that caught me. But if you stumble, that's kind of the best part of yoga. How did you react to your stumble? And then come on down. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, and then let's go through a vinyasa. We'll meet in down dog. And then I'd like you to jump through to seated, and we'll come to our back and do some abdominal work. How you doing? Yeah. So, first bring the legs just right over the hips. And then lower your right leg down to the ground. Yeah, without letting the back come off the ground at all. So you've got full contact. Good. And then just bring lift your head and shoulders off the floor and keep an open airway by lifting your chin off of your chest. Yeah, and then let's switch. And then we'll switch. Good. Nothing fancy. Just some scissored legs with your head, neck, and shoulders off the floor. Breathing. If it's too much for the neck, you can absolutely lay down and do this exercise and get pretty much all the benefits here. Now bring both legs together, lay the head on the floor, and lower the legs just to that place where the back wants to come off of the ground. Okay? So the longer your legs are, the harder this is, the harder it will be to lower your legs without your low back coming off the floor. So it's not about how low the legs go. And then lift your head and shoulders off the ground. And I want you to turn your palms to the sky. And then bring the arms out to the sides right below the shoulders. And then bring your arms by your sides. Inhale, arms out to the side. Exhale, pinkies by your side. Open. Notice the palms are up. And the reason for that is when the palms are down, I feel like it tweaks our shoulders. Open the arm and close. 2 more times. And then put the head on the floor, put the feet on the floor, and press up to a bridge pose as we stretch our abdominals here. And breathe. How you doing? Good. So come up as high as you'd like to on the shoulders, but lift the chin off of the chest to protect the neck. We don't want a lot of weight on the cervical spine. Now, if you have your ponytail in the way, it'd be best to come down and move your ponytail so the back of the head is pressing into the ground. Yeah. Kind of a longer hold today. So as the pelvis gets heavier, sometimes it puts some pressure on the low back. Try tucking the pelvis up towards the sky. And that should alleviate some of the low back irritation. And then we'll come down and we'll do just one more back bend. You can either do a bridge pose like I did, or you can come into full wheel, which I will do today. But know that we're going to be holding this for at least, a minute. So pick your poison responsibly. Turn the fingers towards the shoulders if you're coming into full wheel. The one thing that happens to a lot of us is our toes turn out, and it really could potentially injure the knees. They start to cave in. So keep the feet pointed straight ahead. And then pressing more into the hands than into the feet. We lift. Maybe a minute was a little aggressive. Let's see. So if you're in your shoulder bridge, the same thing applies. You keep the chin away from the chest. You press the hips towards the sky. You keep your toes pointed straight ahead. Yeah, and you feel this delicious stretch in the front side of the body as we activate all the muscles that line the back of our body. And then when you're ready, come on down. I might have said we were going to do 2, but I think 3 feels right today. So one more back bend of your choice, bridge or wheel. Ready? I know the heart rate is pounding, but let's just hit it while it's hot. Take an inhale and then press yourself up. One more breath. Come on down, circling the knees. Good job. Let's do some seated stretches. So roll yourself up to seated. How are you? Did great. Now's the nice part. I'd like you to take your left leg and bend it behind you with the top of your left foot on the floor. And the first is more of a back bend. It's called, in yin, it's called saddle pose or half saddle. We're going to recline as much as your body will allow. And yeah, you might feel some cramping in the ankles. But it's almost like a use it or lose it thing, and I know this from experience. If I don't do this pose for a while, it's quite challenging. And then if I start doing it over and over again, then everything sort of loosens up. And then if the knee can remain on the floor, we lay completely on our back. And press yourself back to seated. And this is also a forward fold for the right leg. So remove some of the flesh from underneath your right buttocks. flex through the right foot. Take an inhale to find length in the spine, and then exhale, hinging more from the hips than from the upper back. Forward fold. And you have to kind of wait for the body to let you in. Easing into this forward fold. But we did a lot of hamstring stretching today, so maybe you've got a little more room. If you grab onto the outside of the right foot and pull back, then you tap into the very tight calf as well. Come on up to seated and bring your right knee in. Actually, you know what, that might be a little too much. So let's take our left leg out. And then a crisscross applesauce leg with the left leg as you bring your right knee in, and we'll twist over to the right. I like to underhand grip because it feels better on the shoulder. Keep the chest nice and square and open, and then twist with a straight spine. So, with a tall spine. So instead of trying to get these fancy binds, you know, where we bring the elbow on the outside, sit up tall. So you've got this nice straight, tall spine. And then the twist happens in a much safer way, looking over the right shoulder. Now come back to neutral and kick your left heel out a bit so the left shin is parallel with the front of your mat, and then stack as much as you can the right on top of the left. Now I have this huge discrepancy here because my hips are tighter. So my option here is to modify this pose by just coming into a crisscross applesauce with my right shin forward, and I get all the benefits of this forward fold. But if you'd like to do the full stacked log pose, here it is, and you forward fold. So you have options. Flexing through the feet keeps your ankles from sickling, and the ankle not sickling keeps it stable, and then the knee is in line with the ankle. If we break the ankle, then the knee is no longer in line. Stay here, inhale, and then exhale. See if you can dip in a little bit more. And then we'll come out of that shaking the legs out. And we'll do the other side. So the right leg will fold back behind you. And we'll do a half saddle pose on the right leg. Walk yourself back. So what I found is you know, I was taught to, you know, to keep my knees together, but lots of different modalities have different kind of ideas. So I've heard the knee can go out to the side as well, open up if necessary. But one thing everyone agrees on is the knee needs to stay on the mat, because you can really tweak your knee if it lifts off the floor. So don't go down so far that the knee pops off your mat, okay? Good, and then we'll come up and forward fold over the left leg. Inhale, get long, and then exhale. Try to almost reach the crown of your head to the big toe instead of worrying so much about getting your head to your knee. Always looking for ways to elongate the spine. Gravity is going to shorten your spine all on its own. It doesn't need any more help. And then come on up. I'm going to change up the order here. So we're going to come into our stack log pose now. So the right shin will be parallel with the mat, and it'll be the left shin that stacks on top of the right. Sit up tall and inhale, and then exhale, forward fold. Woo. I probably should have put some sunscreen on my face before starting class today. We're almost there. It's time to jump in the pool. Soften around the hip joint. Soften around the muscles of your face. How about those shoulders? Let those relax. And then come to seated, and we'll add the twist in now. So bend the right knee, and the right foot will actually be a little further towards the hip of the left. And then you can keep your left foot over to the left, over to the right, or you can have your left foot be on the inside of the right knee. Use the shin to help you lift up so you've got this long, extended spine before we twist to the left. And then come back to the center. One more hip stretch before we lay on the ground and finish class. Feet are together, and you're in an extended butterfly, so there's space between the crotch and your heels. And then forward fold over this. And the more tension you want, or the more sensation you want in the hips, the further away the heels will come from the groin. A lot of times people put their hands underneath their feet. It's okay here to round your spine. In fact, it's a good thing. So we call this spinal flexion. So turn yourself into an igloo, creating this half circle with the back like a turtle shell. And even out the distribution of this rainbow. And then we take the hands out from underneath the feet if they were there. And keeping our feet together and our knees apart, just lay yourself down. In your first of relaxation poses before we get to Shavasana. So bring your breath to a more relaxed place, and you can feel it happening by putting your hands on your belly and your chest. And then once you feel like your breath has settled down, extend the legs. take the hands off the body and let them lay by your sides with the palms facing up. And I wish you were here with me to feel this gentle, sweet breeze across your body and the sun kissing your nose and your cheeks. But we all can feel this spent, wonderful, relaxed place we've gotten ourselves into by challenging ourselves in this practice today. Now you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. I thank you so much for joining me in my first outdoor class. We'll see how it looks. Namaste, everybody. See you soon.